Here we go again. So I was at the Trump rally in MSG. Great time. When I left the rally, lo and behold, I had no idea that the headlines would be a joke that a comedian made. So everyone was focusing on him. But what about the crowd? When he did that joke, it fell flat in the room. The crowd didn't like the joke. They gave him like that's what he said. Okay, we're getting there. Because it didn't really fall well with the crowd. The MAGA crowd. Okay, so you're focusing on the comedian when the crowd did not like the joke at all. But you notice that is the only thing the left has to hold on to. It was nothing about Tulsi. It was nothing about Vivek. It was nothing about Tucker. It was nothing about any of the prominent speakers there. There were about a dozen or more speakers there. So they found someone all the way down low in the totem pole that made a joke. Oh my God, yes, it's offensive. I get it. You guys are offended. Did it offend me? No, I love comedy. I laugh at every freaking thing. Again, I was born in a different age where comedy was comedy. You made fun of everything. You could have the argument, was that the right place for racist jokes? Maybe not. I'll grant you that. But it was fine when George Lopez did a racist Mexican jokes at the Tim Walz rally, right? But it's okay because they're on the left. Do I wish he would have done that joke somewhere else and not at a Trump rally? Yes, he should have done it somewhere else because we live in sensitive times where they're going to grab anything to hold on to and make that the focal point. Forget the fact that this was a freaking sold out arena, like 10 times over. There were tens of thousands of people outside. Inside, you had nothing but array of different races, religions, everything in there. This was not some sort of white supremacy rally. Look at the people speaking. You had black, you had Indian, you had Asian. The Republican Party has shifted. And that's why the left is petrified. So they had to gloss on to some comedian who tried to make a name for himself. In my opinion, I think he did that on purpose, knowing he was going to get attention because controversy sells. And that's what selfish people do. You're just upset that the Democrat Party is losing the Hispanic vote. You're upset that the Democrat Party...
You know, there's a lot going on. Like, I don't know if you guys know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah. I think it's called Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico is home to some of the most talented, innovative, and ambitious people in our nation. And Puerto Ricans deserve a president who sees and invests in that strength. I will never forget what Donald Trump did and what he did not do when Puerto Rico needed a caring and a competent leader. He abandoned the island, tried to block aid after back-to-back devastating hurricanes, and offered nothing more than paper towels and insults. And now Donald Trump promises to be even more extreme, talking about using the military against his political enemies and being a dictator on day one. Puerto Ricans deserve better. As president, I will always fight for you and your families, and together we can turn the page and chart a new and a joyful way forward.
Cap! Oh my gosh, that's right. We do need a way forward and away from you. Oh my gosh, I cannot take another 4 years of Kamala la 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 or Scamala la la la, whichever you feel that day. Anyhow, look, do you realize, America, we not slow. We can take jokes, okay? We know parody, we know satire, and we know you know, like, which is the biggest joke. You know, the DOJ, you know what I mean? We know about these jokes, but you guys are just taking it completely out of proportion, right? So this was a comedian at the Trump rally making a joke about the Puerto Rican, I believe it's a trash crisis or something like that. I was reading the comments earlier. It's a trash crisis, something like that. But anyhow, it was a joke that that the Puerto Ricans were cool with.
We like jokes. We like jokes. We do.
And we understand the importance of a comedian having the freedom to push the envelope, because that's always been what has separated comedians from like everyday folks, right? Mm-hmm. Where they can push the envelope to either make you laugh or make you think or challenge you, right?
Pero, because obviously we're such proud Puerto Ricans, I will say that it is not a little floating pile of trash. This beautiful island full of beautiful people that love the beautiful islands. And it's okay to have different opinions. That's what makes America great, that people can just have different opinions. So you know what? We're not offended. Did we like the joke?
No,
I didn't like the joke.
I didn't like
I
the
don't even
joke.
think the crowd that he bombed that joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it
I
was
think-
funny. Don't get me wrong. At
I
first,
think
I'm
the
like,
joke
wow, that's
in
crazy.
New York
but-
City maybe was not like in the right landing.
Probably right. Probably
Well,
not
I
the
don't know. I
best
have
thing.
mixed emotions.
But I also got to show y'all this epic meltdown on CNN, right? These people can't dish out. They can dish it, but they can't take it. They can call you names all day long. They can call you this and that, all that up under the sun. A Trump supporter is all this, but as soon as a guy make a joke, oh my gosh, he's a racist. And this, that, and the third. Now, don't get it twisted. Now, this is live TV. This is CNN, all right? I'm going to read a few of these comments from this. It says, it was a dark joke about Puerto Rico's landfill crisis, not about Puerto Ricans. Right, but literally the garbage problem that I just got made aware of. How do you people not know about this? Sorry, now I do. Maybe now he'll bring attention to it and something will finally get done. Somebody else said, also, as a Hispanic voter, I found this joke hilarious. Y'all seem to be able to find anything to nitpick at and call it racist. That's because y'all are the party of pettiness, not peace, love, prosperity, tolerance, or unity. And I just say, damn. Trump has to make comedy great again, too. Anyhow, before we dive back into that clip and give my thoughts on that, I want to show y'all this real quick. This really just happened live on CNN. This meltdown that you're about to witness, glorious.
If you don't want to be called Nazis, stop doing.
You're called an
You've
been called an anti-Semite more than anyone else's table.
Yeah.
And people would
By
sit there
you.
and no, by me. I never called you an anti-Semite. I mean, I'm not sitting here saying I don't.
I'm a supporter of the Palestinians, so I'm used to it. It's fine.
I hope your beeper doesn't go off. The thing is
Did
that
you just say I should die?
You should not.
No, I
Did
said,
you just say I should be killed?
No, I did not say that. I said, no, I did not say that.
Hold on.
Did your guest just say I
No,
should
I
be
did
killed?
not.
Hold on.
On live TV?
I said I hope
Guys,
you don't.
let me just stop.
You said you hope my beeper doesn't go off.
Because you said I'm a big
Stop that right
supporter
now.
Of the Palestinians.
of Hamas.
Guys, let
I
me
said
stop.
Palestinians.
Are you?
Am I what? No, of course I'm not.
Palestinians are
Then
not-
I apologize.
Are you a
Ryan.
Then I
racist, violent
apologize.
person
Then I
inciting
apologize.
violence against
Ryan,
me?
Ryan.
That's disgusting.
That is completely.
No, I apologize.
That
Good
is
job, CNN.
completely
Let's have first
out
block
of
say the
pocket.
Muslim guy
You
should
know
be
that.
blown
Then I
up
apologize.
on
Then I
TV.
apologize.
Don't
Then I
say
apologize.
then I
Wow.
apologize. You literally.
say
I
it.
thought you said
accused
Hamas.
him.
I
You didn't think I said
No.
Hamas.
Yes,
I
I
said
did.
I'm supportive of
Yes, I did.
Palestinian
Yes, I
rights.
did.
Why? Because when you hear
What's funny
Palestinian,
is
you
Rudy
hear Hamas.
Giuliani said this
No,
yesterday,
because-
so you're a great guest
Listen.
to be here
All
to
right,
defend
I
Rudy
told
Giuliani.
myself
Give me
I
one-
wasn't going to
give me-
entertain
give me one
nonsense
sec.
today, and so at this point,
This is what we're in
I
now.
can't
This
do
is America in
Here's
2024.
what I will say.
Forget the
Here's what
racism.
that's right.
It's I should
That's
die.
right.
I didn't
That's-
say that. You
You
should
said,
die.
what does beeper mean? Don't give me your
I
fake
did not say
ignorance.
you should
Guys,
die.
Why did you say
guys,
with my
give me-
beeper
give me
go
a-
off?
What did you mean?
What did you mean by the beeper?
So what
I
did
said-
you mean?
What did you mean by the beeper?
No,
you didn't. You said, I hope your beeper doesn't go off.
Ryan, stop talking.
At least
sorry.
have the guts to
I'm
support
so
your racist
sorry.
comment.
Hang
I'm
on.
so sorry.
Let her bring it back.
This is
Hang on.
why. This is why yesterday's rally was disgusting.
Don't call us Nazis,
and
but I'm going to
outrageous.
threaten the brown guy as a
This is
terrorist
why.
and kill him.
Because I didn't ever say Donald Trump was Hitler. But do you know who stood on a stage yesterday and said, I want to come to the Nazi rally? I don't have to make up words and call you something. You're saying it for yourself. And what you just said
Kamala
right
Harris
here,
is a pimp
apologize,
handler.
but I will tell you, I don't accept that apology, and you didn't even say it
That's
to
fine.
me.
I didn't say it
that
to
was
you.
disgusting. But I can be offended when you don't even say it to me. I'm not Puerto Rican, but I was offended by what he said
Okay.
yesterday. And I'm offended that the former president and potentially future president would allow it and go for 12 hours and not say, I don't care. Because you know what? When Kamala Harris put out statements about switching up opinions, it wasn't good enough for Republicans.
Why are you looking at me?
Because you said it.
Why don't
'Cause
you take this back a little?
Now, personally, I don't know the context of all this. I'm still trying to understand it. Somebody wrote CNN is such a joke, LMFAO. And for the people in the back, quote, I hope your beeper doesn't go off, end quote, is a phrase about someone raising their blood pressure because they so worked up. Does not mean unaliving at all. Democrats are as you could say anything to Democrats and they start crying. What a clown show. And then, of course, I tried to get some research on it, and it says that this remark was interpreted as a reference to an incident where Israel allegedly provided Hezbollah with pagers that were rigged to ignite, unaliving many operatives that were active. So I don't know the full spectrum of said joke. The only point that I will make is when it comes to CNN and these Democrats, all you have people all day, literally all day, just going right at you saying you this. I mean, Trump supporters are this, they're Hitler, they're Nazis and stuff like this, and all we're Nazis and all this under the sun. And then you get a joke hit back at you and boom. I'm gonna read some of the comments up under this. This was not a joke. It was racist, hence why he won't be back on CNN. Somebody said in response to that, with the amount of vitriol, I'm sorry, I gotta learn how to say that word, coming from the left without repercussion, you don't have much ground to stand on, somebody replied. The people joke was out of bounds, but calling Trump Hitler and his supporters Nazi is far worse. The double standard is blatantly obvious, and it demonstrates their biases. I mean, because quite literally, I was just watching CNN, I seen a clip of CNN. I don't want to say it like I really watched a platform like that, but anyhow, and I seen a clip where they were comparing a Trump rally side by side to a KKK rally, and I'm looking at that going, wow, y'all can do that. The hypocrisy is just crazy. Somebody said one bad joke does not make a Nazi rally. Both Clinton and Carter had rallies at MSG. To call Trump a Hitler is to deny the Holocaust. CNN is dog whistling in order to call violence against Trump and the Republicans. He supports Hamas, and then I hope he has a Hamas beeper. These people are such hypocrites, some people wrote. So yeah, this is what we're seeing. This is the sentiment right here. Now, I believe Vivek, so the Trump rally joke, right? That we played at the beginning. It says, "Get off your high horses." Benny Johnson posted this clip. It says, Vivek leaves CNN host in silence after exposing her fake outrage over the comedian at the Trump rally. Indifference to voter, I can't even say that. Another masterful moment by Vivek, flipping the script on humorless, virtue signaling scolds on corporate media. Let's check this out.
The Trump campaign press secretary, Carolyn Leavitt, on Fox earlier saying the joke doesn't reflect the views of President Trump or our campaign, specifically talking about the Puerto Rico joke. But also she said the crowd, they didn't mind. You were there. Did you mind?
Look, the fact of the matter is I wasn't in the room when that joke was made, but I got to say, we got to take a step back and look at the double standards here, Brianna. Let's be really honest. George Lopez made a joke at Kamala Harris's rally over the weekend about all Mexicans being thieves. Are we attributing that comment to Kamala Harris or querying all of her proxies who were at that rally? No, we're not. So I think we need to all get off our high horses and acknowledge that a bad joke was told. It was bad because it wasn't very funny. The audience didn't find it funny. The guys told other funny jokes in other places. This wasn't one of them. But the media manufacturing of outrage out of this is really just a double standard when you look at the exact kind of jokes being told at the Kamala Harris rally over the weekend. And the fact is, if George Lopez had said that at the Donald Trump rally, if I may finish,
you've seen a comedy show before?
If I may finish, just to finish making the point, if the George Lopez joke had been told at the Donald Trump rally, you and I both know we'd be talking about that. But because it was at a Kamala Harris rally, we're not saying a word about it. And I think that that's just hypocritical.
I think that if your comedian were Mexican American, it might be different. I mean, you're familiar with, I'm assuming you've been to a comedy show. You're familiar with these things. If someone is of South Asian descent or they're Mexican American and they tell a joke about the group from which they come from, things can land a little differently. And we heard these jokes. There is a group certainly that the comedian belongs to, and he didn't really joke about them that much. So I think that's something to note as well.
The funny and most remarkable part about this is the audience didn't love the joke. They actually booed, and it says a lot about the audience's response to a bad joke. On the other hand, this is a comedian who roasted Tom Brady famously as well, so everybody knew he was a comedian. Let's also take a step back and ask what else was going on during this same rally, or focused on this early warm-up speakers. Frankly, most people didn't even know he was going to speak early on in the rally. The whole time, Tim Walz is doing a live stream, calling the people in Madison Square Garden Nazis. Where's the apology for that? I was in the room. I was there the entire time. There were multiple Israel flags held up in the audience, not exactly the material of a Nazi rally. And I just think that this media game isn't healthy for the country, where we airlift some comment, this time that didn't even come from Donald Trump, not even when Donald Trump was in the building. But a warm-up speaker at his rally makes one joke, but a comedian at Kamala Harris's rally makes at least one that's even more offensive in the other direction. And we're not talking about it. I think that we have to be able to really take seriously what Donald Trump and Kamala Harris say versus jokes of some comedian.
He made it in his own direction. But I will tell you that the comedian certainly overshadowed a lot of people making statements, and that included yours. You were there. You said this. This was part of your message last night, and I want to discuss it with you.
What does it mean to be American? It means we have elections we can trust and believe in, and that means single-day voting on Election Day as a national holiday with paper ballots and government-issued ID to match the voter file. That's how we save the country after we win it this time by voting early.
So voting early is okay to use to win for your guy, but then you want to get rid of it?
I think you got to play by the rules you have in order to change them to what they should be. Just like people should pay taxes as required by the tax code, who may otherwise favor changing the tax code. The same applies to the way we conduct elections. And if I may for a second, you brought up Puerto Rico before. I actually love Puerto Rico. I've spent a lot of time there. One of the things I've done in my studies of the island, meeting with leaders there, is understand how they conduct elections in Puerto Rico. And I think we have a lot to learn from them, where they do have single day voting on Election Day as a holiday for the island. They use paper ballots and other election security measures that we don't use in the United States. So for our part, speaking to Puerto Ricans, what I want to say is we have a lot to learn from Puerto Rico, including the way they run elections. But yes, we have to win this election in order to get there. And so play by the rules we have legally to the fullest extent allowed. And then, yes, I think it could be civic and unifying, in civic unity for the country, to say there's one day we take apart from our daily drudgery of our day to say we're doing our duty to our country and more united as a consequence. But that's not happening this election. We need to win this election. And that's why I do think it is not only okay, I would encourage people this election so we can win to vote early to change the rules to what they should be.
Even on national holidays, some people will still work. We see them working. Sure. We see them. If you're so concerned
for that. Of course, we have exceptions for people who are working like emergency workers or otherwise. But the basic premise, as Puerto Rico does it, if
you're so concerned about, Vivek, if you're so concerned about paper trails, are you aware who has the biggest lack of them?
I don't follow the premise of the question, Brianna, I have to confess.
If you're so worried about paper trails.
Yes.
Like, is this like an issue that you're talking about, or are you aware that it's a few counties in Texas and it's all of Louisiana? I mean, are you talking to those folks? Have you talked to the leadership in those localities, those states where there is no paper trail at all, let alone paper ballots, and said, hey guys, maybe fix this?
So look, here's something you and I can, I think, agree on. I think you and I would agree on this. The crisis of public trust in our elections is a real problem. And if we can shore up that trust in a way that says we're done, nobody wants to be complaining. Certainly I don't want to be complaining, or anyone on my side to be complaining about election integrity. The easiest way to move it forward is to do it the way that Puerto Rico does it today. And I think that many countries do it this way. We've done it this way in the past with respect to paper ballots in our country. I don't think government-issued ID should be controversial.
But most people have paper ballots.
If I may finish, Brianna, the fact that many people find government-issued ID requirements to be controversial is actually what breeds that mistrust about election integrity in the first place.
Definitely, because, I mean, you need your ID to do the most basic of things as an adult. I mean, you needed to enter in certain spaces like clubs. You need to be 25 and older to go to certain places, right? You needed to buy tobacco products, to purchase alcohol products and things of that nature. So, I mean, you need your ID to get into concerts. You know what I'm saying? So I don't understand the controversy behind it. Also, it is very insulting from the Democratic Party to say that black people specifically we don't hold IDs or we don't carry IDs regularly, and it's complicated for us, and that's somehow racist. I find that very demeaning.
Okay, I do just want to be clear.
Are themselves controversial. Most
people there is a paper ballot. And there is a paper trail, that the process by which they're doing it generates a paper ballot, a paper trail to show how they have voted. So this idea that like a bunch of people are voting and it just kind of goes off into the ether, that doesn't happen. We're talking about
Brianna,
the vast majority.
You didn't hear me say that.
I didn't interrupt you, sir. The vast majority of people. So it's sort of, I'm just curious because it seems like also to the point of the ID, this idea of like non-citizen voting, it's already illegal for non-citizens to vote in federal elections with threat of prosecution and deportation as a deterrent, which may be why it just doesn't happen in any meaningful number, including in your home state. I just wonder, in both of these cases, are you promoting a solution to solve problems that don't exist?
I'm promoting a solution to address a problem that does exist, which is the loss of public confidence in elections against the backdrop of voter fraud that is real.
Well,
Nobody's
why do you
denied
think
the
there's
existence.
a loss in confidence?
Nobody. Whoa. You just said you weren't interrupting me, and then you're interrupting me, Brianna.
Well,
if I
now
may
I am.
finish
Yeah,
answering
I
the
am.
question.
Because we're running out of time. Why do you think there's a loss in confidence?
Boom. Look at all this cattiness. CNN, boy, y'all falling apart, man. Y'all was getting it right a couple weeks ago. What's happening?
I think there's a loss in confidence because there are unknown numbers of illegal migrants in this country. And I think there's a big loss of confidence because people object to the idea of using voter IDs, the same IDs you're required to drive a car. Why is it objectionable to use that to actually be a requirement to vote? The fact that people call that racist to shut down debate, yes, I do think that breeds public mistrust.
I do.
So here's what
I'm
I
going
want.
to interrupt
I
you
want to be clear about my
because
view.
best
I don't want
practices-
complaints about election
best
integrity. I don't want us
practices for
fighting over
voting, cross-referencing
restore
votes with the DMV and Social Security to make sure that that doesn't happen. I do just want to be clear. You're talking about this idea of like all of these imaginary illegal immigrants who are voting. It's just not
See these people, man, they trying to make it seem like we're just imagining this.
true. Texas, there was this point where they had thousands of people they identified as non-citizens. Turned out they had become citizens. They actually had to settle because of what they did there. Georgia, the Republican Secretary of State, they identified 20 non-citizens who had registered to vote out of 8.2 million. Nine of them had voted. All of them were sent to law enforcement. And in Ohio, your state, out of 8 million people, law enforcement is reviewing 138 people who cast a ballot for possibly. That hasn't even been confirmed. I get what you're saying, but these numbers
I know the chapter
are
and
not
verse you're reciting
meaningful.
from. I've heard these
You
cases.
spend a lot of time talking about a problem that is so minuscule, it doesn't affect outcomes.
I actually don't. The challenge I would give you and to anybody who shares your view is explain why voter ID laws are controversial. Why is it racist to have a voter ID law? And the fact that people are using racist allegations against the simple premise of having a driver's license to vote is what is breeding public mistrust in our elections. And I'll make a pledge to everybody in this country, Republican or Democrat. If we get to voter ID laws that match the voter file and have single-day voting on Election Day as a national holiday, I'm done, and anybody else in the Republican Party should be done as well, and the Democratic Party too, in complaining about election integrity. Do it the way Puerto Rico does it, and if they do it in Puerto Rico, we can do it in the rest of the United States and turn this page so that we're not talking about this issue. But the fact that voter ID laws are themselves controversial with the left reveals that there is a real issue here, that if a voter ID law is deemed racist and you're not even allowed to talk about advocating for that without undergoing this kind of grilling, that reveals a real issue and loss of public trust that I do believe we need to fix to unite this country. That's my hope, and I do think a solid victory, which we are not debating on November 6th, for either candidate, I hope it's Donald Trump, is something that will unite this country, and that's what I'm rooting for.
Well, I think it's because the consequence that I certainly hope from your perspective is inadvertent, is that it discourages some people who have the right to vote from voting in numbers that far eclipse what you're talking about solving with this non-existent problem. But
I respectfully
Vivek
disagree with that, just as it doesn't deter them from driving. But I think that that's a reasonable discussion for us to have in good faith rather than dismissing voter ID laws as racist. At least that's a constructive step in the debate.
I don't know. I didn't say it was racist. So I understand. Maybe you're having a conversation with someone else about this, but it's not me.
In
Vivek,
Georgia, countless leftists have, yeah.
Vivek Ramaswamy, thank you for being with us.
I don't see how they are going to convince voters in any direction with all of this nagging. Seriously. Vivek, oh my gosh, he would have made a great VP. Vance is very well spoken as well. These are two guys I think are a great balance to a Donald Trump in terms of being able to neutralize all the BS coming from the left. Vivek is at his best, man, for real. Somebody said I thought it was funny, especially awkwardness in the crowd. You have to know how Tony, I don't know what that means. Dress them with the truth and they would not know how to react. That's definitely true. She didn't know how to really reply to that, you know, and this, if I'm being honest, she was pretty insufferable. I don't even know why they find these partisan people, man. This lady is condescending and nosy. But Vivek, he answered the questions very brilliantly, and yeah, she's exhausting.